If you could live forever, would you want to? How would that change the way you look at the things you want to pursue? If you lived forever, you would probably stop stressing over the need to rush through things to experience as much as you can. If you weren't in such a rush then, it signifies that you do want to experience things deeply, and the only reason you're not, right now when you're not immortal, is because you know you don't have all the time in the world. But guess what? You don't really lose anything by not doing something, because by not doing it, it means you never had it in the first place, so there's no real loss involved. I recorded a video about the fear versus joy of missing out, and that we always miss out on billions of experiences. I want to explore this idea further because I firmly believe one of the biggest mistakes we make is focusing on that we don't do, rather than on what we do. The very simple, yet also slightly absurd, and I will come back to that word, truth is we always do something, and we always don't do something at the same time. We have so many options nowadays that it is very possible to live in a constant state of anxiety caused by the fear that we're doing the wrong things. There's also a slight paradox here because on the one hand, we like to do the things we know work for us and that are worth it, which means it's safer to do the same things. But on the other, we also want the best things, which requires novelty and trying new things out. And novelty is scary because we'll never know if it'll be worth it. So we're constantly stressed by this awareness of how much there is out there. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? Is it wrong that I'm doing A instead of B? And it goes on. When we're swarmed by information, as we are now, we obviously know how much there is to do. And it's human nature to push ourselves to the limits to discover how much we can, in fact, experience. But you'll never experience it all. You just won't. That's why instead of collecting the number of things you do, you should be more focused on the depth of it. I once said that we will never be fully satisfied, and this doesn't have to be bad. If we step into life with that mindset that nothing will ever be enough, then it doesn't matter how much we experience. All that matters is how we experience, in a way that what we do brings us as close, but never fully, to the point of satisfaction, of wholeness. So far, I mentioned focusing on equality instead of quantity, and I want to add an element of absurdity into it. In The Myth of Sisyphus, Albert Camus wrote, "Belief in the meaning of life always implies a scale of values, or choice, or preferences. Belief in the absurd, according to our definitions, teaches the contrary. What counts is not the best living, but the most living. Belief in the absurd is tantamount to substituting the quantitative experience for the quality." After reading this, we might consider that it doesn't matter which experience we have and which we don't, because there are no differences in value or meaning in them. If all life is equally absurd, all we do is equally meaningless. And it may sound nihilistic, but I find it liberating. Now, Camus also talks about quantity and not quality. But I don't think he means quantity in the sense that we have to have the highest number of experiences. At one point, he makes a distinction between being carried by time and carrying time. And that's a point being made in a paper I read recently. I'll link it below. And in this sense, living the most is not about having the highest amount of experiences and being carried by them, but about asserting those experiences we do have and the choices we do make, carrying them, regardless of their quantities or whatever else we will miss out on as a result, because we will miss something, always. In this same paper, Camus' work is put together with Bergson's theory of duration, where an hour will always be comprised of 60 minutes. Any particular duration expands or contracts depending on the intuitive experience that a self has within it. This means that a period of time is marked by our own subjective experiences of it, which is obvious enough. We can't have one shorter experiences that feels longer and fuller than multiple experiences whose duration we miss because they are superficial or we're not committed to them. There is a link between duration and absurdity because, as I said before, it doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we're, not breaking the law or breaking ourselves in some way, because everything is equally absurd. What matters is that when we do start doing something, we live it to its highest quantity. And if we maintain this awareness of the absurdity of everything that we're doing, then everything feels much freer. There is no pressure to be done with it, not to miss it, have more of it, or anything else. I guess this might even be a very convoluted way of talking about mindfulness, but the difference is that mindfulness does carry some pressure to always be present, never to miss being present. Absurdity, on the other hand, gives us liberation not to treat it so seriously. Sure, we want to feel alive, we want to live our lives to the highest quantity, but the stakes are lower. Better yet, we create our own stakes, our own meaning. We carve out this subjectively durational space where the purpose of it is ours only. We may not have much time, but our duration is infinite. And by that, we are infinite. And that is surely absurd. But isn't that the point? The last quick thing I want to share, based on what I've discussed so far, is not to underestimate the value of simply a good day. On a good day, we still don't experience everything. Far from it. But we don't mind. We forget about it because the day was good enough. So why can't we turn it around and always consider our days good? Because our days can be separated from us. We may not be feeling good on a particular day, but the day itself, the day we have been given, can still be a good day. And if we step outside and say, this is a good day, just like we would say this is a good apartment or this is a good meal, maybe shifting perspective like this could be helpful. Every day is a good day. You just have to enter it, armed with the awareness of absurdity and the subjective nature of time. And then it's all good, even if it's not. Let me know if this resonates with you in any way. I must say this idea of focusing on what you do instead of what you don't do, although it sounds so simple, has been one of those reminders helping me the most in everyday life. Anyway, you always not do something, but what you can do is to like this video and possibly share it, perhaps subscribe. Consider doing that. Otherwise, thank you for your duration.